these next couple of slides. Let me put the chat box up too. Feel free to interrupt, or I'll try to look at that if there are questions. I do want to emphasize a few of the big battlegrounds. These are a few Democrat on Democrat races. 8057 is Clarissa Cervantes out in the Inland Empire. Talked to Clarissa last week or a couple weeks ago when she was still curing votes to make sure she had that second place finish. And she told me that she said to her team, I must be worth $1 million, because that's how much was spent against her to keep her out of that second place finish, but she didn't let it beat her. Statewide, she had the fifth most negative spending against her. And of course, that's coming from Big Pharma, McDonald's, DaVita, Uber. And I will say, like, one characteristic of this cycle is Uber has really turned up the heat and in the independent spending space, and we're seeing the impact all over the state, and it's really not cool. So very excited for Clarissa. The other two races, you can see, of course, Clarissa in the graphic there, but also Sade Elawari and Michelle Chambers, who are running. Sade's district is nested inside of Michelle Chambers' Senate district, and this will really be a battle for LA. Black-brown unity is so important here. It will get totally nasty. There will be a ton of spending. Sade's race, the 8057 district, which has been held by Reggie Jones Sawyer, but he reaches his term limit this year. That race saw the single most spending relative to the number of votes cast statewide of all the 35 open seats. So that's remarkable. And I think one other thing to lift up here is that in the races most heavily targeted by negative independent spending across the state, 3 of the 4 of those candidates did not make it out of the primary. So it makes it all the more remarkable what Sade and Michelle were able to pull off here. And I'll definitely be watching that one. Next slide, flip and stretch. One of the biggest partisan battles in the state is Christy Olstedge down in Palm Springs. There's, of course, a number of open seats or challenges in that area, so it'll be hot. Turnout is going to be huge. We definitely saw that drag down the results we were able to get from the primary. So ground game and field investment here is really, really important. The Latino community is huge here, Riverside County, and a little bit beyond, I think. A big get, the stretch goal that I want to lift up is Marisol Rubio in SD9. This is where incumbent Assemblyman Tim Grayson is running. I am a former constituent of Tim Grayson. He needs to go. He takes a ton of oil money. He's not in sync with the district. And so kind of the call to action that I wanted to share out is look west from Contra Costa County, and you see Jovanka Beckles, surprisingly to some, making the runoff in Nancy Skinner's seat. You look east and you see Rhodesia and company taking out the Via Putuas. My takeaway is we don't need to settle for these moderate dingbats. We can do better. We really need to put attention and unite progressives, both those who have been living in those communities for decades and centuries in some cases, and new ones coming in from the more coastal Bay Area regions. And going back to my point about the Senate being so heavily Southern California, this is a chance to break ground in Northern California where progress is lagging behind. So that's what I wanted to lift up to you all. Thank you all. It's so important what you guys do. And when Close the Gap goes out and convinces women to run for office, our nightmare is that they will do it and they won't have support on the other end. So few groups are as bold and active as Courage, and it just so many great candidates wouldn't be in the game without you and wouldn't have a runway. So thank you.